This is Boren Thatch, Spartan Brotherhood World 98. This tutorial is going to be effectively why you don't mix troops in a castle, or any sort of military city. To demonstrate this, I'm going to be using a city I recently set up on World 86 actually, and I'm going to be using LoU Tweak. The goal of this is not to highlight LoU Tweak, but simply to show the reasons against a rainbow city. What problems it has, what problems it faces, and why it's not a good idea, and why so many people are adamantly against them. So, I think I mentioned my love of cottages. You can see I have 40. I love cottages. They're amazing. Anyway, so, now this is LoU Tweak. You can see the grid pattern, and resource or military. I'm going to click military so you can see the specifications of that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and enter in some barracks up here. The way I'm doing this is by hitting the hotkeys, which you can see in this little panel over here. So, those are the buildings you have to choose from. But I hit B, and I get a barracks. Now, LoU Tweak does all of its calculations at the assumption that the buildings are level 10. So, this thing says I have 24,000 capacity. When I put those barracks in there, they will not give me 24,000 capacity. When they're level 10, they will give me 24,000 capacity. So, first thing I'm going to do, once I've got all these barracks put in, is I'm going to show you a build I like to use for Rangers as a raiding city. So, and now I'm putting in the training grounds, and if you can look down here, you'll see that this is my max, this is the capacity of how many Rangers I can have, and this is the recruitment time, which is 5.85 seconds at the moment. Now, the Lord of Ultima will round these numbers, so by 8.5 seconds, it actually means 6. So, look at the time. It's gone down to 3.38 seconds. 3 seconds for a Ranger. And I have a capacity of 66,000 Rangers. That's rather good. You want Rangers to be at about 3 seconds. Now, I'm going to go back up here and change half of these training grounds to be Transic Temples, because some people like to mix them. Don't ask me why, they do. Now, look at what happened to my Ranger time. It went back up to 6 seconds, doubling the time it takes. And I can now recruit a Paladin at 22 seconds. Remember, it rounds. So, problem. Everything now takes a really long time. That's a big problem. Another thing people like to do when they mix is mix defensive and offensive troops. This is not a good idea either. The reason is, if I have a castle in here, let me just go ahead and put one in. See, I still have the 6-second Ranger, which is a really long time to recruit a Ranger. Now, I look over here, and mages take a long time to recruit anyway, so you're going to want a high recruitment speed. The problem is, if I mix them with Rangers, the recruitment speed is 19 seconds. And that's an infantry unit. So it's not like it's going to take 19 seconds for 2, it's going to take 19 seconds for 1. That is a long time. Another problem is that when it's recruiting, well, once you actually have them, guess what? Is it a defensive castle or an offensive castle? Well, if you want it to be an offensive castle, then you're going to want to fill it up with mages. But wait, you have all those training grounds. Why? Oh, you want to put some rangers in there. Okay, so let's do an even split of rangers and mages. What does that do to my total TS down here? That halves it down to 132,000, which is a very weak attack force. It is not good at attacking. And your total defensive force is down to 132. It dilutes everything. And when you get all your TS wiped out, it takes a very long time to get them back, which is why rainbows are not a good idea. Now, or if you want to keep it all offensive and do Zerks and mages, you still have the problem of recruiting them back. So, what are acceptable mixed troops? There's only two, actually, to my experience, and that would be mixing Rangers and Guardians, which are down here. These three units. You can mix Rangers and Guardians. Or you can mix Berserkers and Guardians. Now, the reason that's okay is because, in that case, you're probably going for a raiding castle. It is not going to be an offensive castle for attacking people. It's going to be one for hitting various dungeons and bringing back loot. In that case, a Guardian comes in very handy. Because, as I go over here, I will show you. Okay, maybe I won't show you. It doesn't like me. Anyway, a Guardian has a loot capacity of 10 per unit. Sorry, no, 20 per unit. These two units, Berserkers and Rangers, have a loot capacity of 10 per unit. Therefore, a Guardian has double the capacity. Now, a Crossbowman has a loot capacity of 15 per unit, or 7.5 per TS, as does a Knight. A Mage has a loot capacity of 5 per unit. A Warlock, 10 per unit, which when halved becomes 5 per TS, the same as a Mage. Templar and Paladin both have 10 per unit, and Siege Engines have 0. Now, over here, Guardian holds the most loot per TS, which is why it's an acceptable mix. It's also an acceptable mix because it only takes one building. So what's giving you recruitment speed for one unit gives it for the other, without having to have that number. Now, most mixes are 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. Like 2 Rangers for every Guardian or 3 Rangers for every Guardian, along those lines. And in that case, the Rangers and or Berserkers are the offensive force killing whatever's in the dungeon, and the Guardians carry the loot out. So, yeah, the reason you don't want to mix is because it will dilute your recruitment speed badly, and it will dilute the goal of the castle. Like, do you want it to be attacking other people, or do you want it to be defending from other stuff? So, if you're defending, keep it defensive. If you're attacking, keep it offensive. However, yet again, if you mix, it lowers the recruitment time. No, lowers the recruitment speed, increasing the recruitment time drastically. Not a good idea. Now, if you are going for a Berserker mix, though, you're probably going to want to build closer to this. So, and which will bring my Berserker down to 2.47 seconds, which is 2 seconds a hit, and a 4-second Guardian. Now, with Ranger, you don't need that many training grounds. You can cut a few of them out and still retain your 3-second mix, though. So, just some things to keep in mind. If you have any questions, let leadership know. Always ask whoever is leading your alliance. It will help.